everyone. So nice to be here and see so many of my peers. Today I'm going to talk about maximize the impact of design. I just need to get used to, to this. There you go. Most designers that I know, including myself, got into their career path because you love design, you love our craft, but also you want to make an impact in the world. And for that, we drive to improve products and services that we offer to our customers, and by doing that, improving their lives. Most businesses that hire designers, hire them to help them to grow and to have be more profitable by improving their customers' services and products that they sell. That subtle difference between the motivation can come to a head when the work that gets done gets decided, which is sometimes take designers to this place of shattered dreams, this place where they feel unheard and demoralized or disempowered. And I know it well, because I've been there. I've been there many, many times. Throughout my design career, I had this solo focus of being the voice of the customer in any room. And even when I made to an executive role, and I had executive in my title, I still got the feedback that I wasn't commercial enough, that I didn't have business acumen. To which I replied, but everyone around me is thinking about the business, is thinking about the bottom line, so I am here to balance the conversation and bring the customer to it. It took me a long time to realize that was wrong. What I was actually doing was drawing a very deep line between design and the business. And because of that, often I was not invited to that conversation. It was only stepping up to a company leadership role that changed my perspective to design. Because when you are in the leadership role of a company, you have visibility to what it takes to run a business, the operational cost of it, the challenge of meeting the sales target every day, the challenges in marketing, in sales, in customer service, the cost of IT. It really changed the way I thought about how I contribute to a company. And I'm here to say it's time that we always step in, and we step into the business side of the companies that we work for. I love this quote. It's very little. I'll try to read it. Kirsten and Peter. If designers showed themselves in the cloak of creative as a way not to engage with the business, they lose their impact and their credibility. Designers need to understand how their work contributes to the business success. It's really important. Connecting your work to outcome and impact is an essential for designers to achieve their higher goal. I'm going to repeat that. Connecting your work to business impact is essential for you to achieve your higher goal. So this is very familiar to all of us. So on one side, we have the business goals, the ever-evolving needs of the business. The other side, we have the customer goals and our long backlog of things you want to improve on the customer experience. I submit the way of achieving and having impact is to focus on the overlap, the clear overlap between those two things as the strongest opportunity for us. So I'm going to share some tips that I learned throughout, moving into this arena that I hope that can be useful to others. Tip number 1, business fluency. Understand how the business make money and how you measure them is really important. Here are some tips how you can go about it, but my favorite one is understanding metrics. Understanding not only the numbers, but what drive them, what the market trends, what is the seasonality role, what the others competitors are doing that might affect it, what the changes of the experience, for better or for worse, they affect the metrics. By having really deep understanding of those metrics and its context, it will help you to really achieve the metric that you are going after in your work. Tip number 2, connecting the design, your work, to the impact. It seems simple, and it's actually quite simple. At SEEK, we use this framework by Ryan Scott, who runs a workshop called The ROI of Design in Maven, and I have a few team members who attend to it. And I quite like it because it's quite simple, and it just connects the dots. And rarely, as designers, we do that. So the first one is about initiative, so what the work you're doing. And the second one, I find really hard to read here, customer impact, how the customer will be impacted. Then the business outcome, connecting that to the business outcome, the metrics that you measure, and finally to the finance outcome, which is the impact on the finance of the company. So an example here, SEEK is a marketplace for jobs. So posting a job is a core flow for us. So the job that we set up to do, our initiative was to reduce friction at posting a job. How you know the customer impact of that is increasing the confidence, the satisfaction, reducing cognitive load, and reducing the time. And if you do that, you will see that in their metrics, which is increasing conversion, increasing the number of ads, increasing the customer satisfaction metrics, however you measure it, and in reducing the calls to call centers, because the customers calls to get help. And finally, the outcome for the business is that we will increase our revenue and reduce costs on cost centers. Tip number 3, and that's I'm very passionate about that. I keep insisting my designers to bring context and data into their design solutions, and also in the whatever where they're working, so in the files they're working, so we can make the really clear connection between the things we learn from our customers and the data that we have now and the data we want to have in the future as part of our design process and when you're sharing it. So it goes like this. The first one you are going to add is the background. So provide a brief background of the design of the initiative. We all do that, but keep it in the file. The second one is about the customer insights and key pain points. So that is about, you spend all the time in discovery, understanding customers and understanding their motivations and understanding some of the barriers and pain points, but then you leave that behind. I want them in the file as you're solving the problem, and it really mapped to the area that you're doing, because by doing that, you stay really focused on that customer problem. And you also bring your data. So what is the current data? Where does it sit in each stage of the design process you're trying to improve? And what is the target data? What do you want to move? How are you going to do that in your design process? And finally, never lose sight of the overall impact that you want to make. I'll give you, just bring that to life by giving an example. This is a project I've done quite a few years back. And so that is not the file. I don't have access to the file that we did, but I'm going to tell a little bit of the story about it. So it was about setting up a saving, a goal in a saving account. Back then, there was not many of them. There are some now. And the reason you wanted to do that is because people start savings, and for whatever reason, they stop, they fall off the process. So their habits, a little bit like going to the gym and sign up for a gym, or starting a diet. And whatever reason, you skip a few times and you abandon it altogether. For the business, we end up with lots of dormant accounts that doesn't do anything, costs us money, and a huge opportunity. So, what did you learn from our customer? That once they set up, they get started, and life happens, or they have huge present buyers, just want to do the things in front of you, and they find hard to stay motivated. So our design solution was, first of all, break their goal in small chunks, divided it in phases and in stages, and then in little milestones, and help them to visualize and celebrate progression. And by doing that, we encourage them to keep going. You measure that by the frequency that they were doing the transfers. You also encourage in the design the transfers by making automation or nudging them to automate the process. So you could, we will nudge them to take your payday, and as soon as you get your salary, separate your saving money from your spending money, because that's a good habit that you can create and help you to stay focused on the higher goal. And in that case, there is a trip to New York or to Italy. And then by more frequent change, we observe the customer that had goals set up, and they were broken in little chunks, and they were encouraged to continue, and sometimes even recover, but restarting, and you had process for that. They, in general, had more balance than the ones that didn't have, which was the intent of design. So through that process, we achieved both the business goals, which increase the balance of those dormant accounts, as well as the customer goals, which is stick to their goal. On my quest to maximize the design impact, I came to realize the more I cared about the business goals as much as I care about the customer experience, I was able to build stronger relationship with my peers and stronger partnership, especially with product, marketing, commercial, and sales. And together we could achieve both the business goals as well as the customer goals. And by doing that, I feel a lot closer to my higher goal of having an impact in the world. Thank you.